Hello guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Liz. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys the cons about moving out of state. So I'm not going to be talking about any particular state or anything like that, but just the cons that I've seen from moving from one state to another. So the first con is going to be obviously familiarity of the state. So obviously if you're moving from one state to a new state, you're going to be unfamiliar with the kind of vibes there are, the kind of things there are to do. And that is definitely a con for me. I know when I moved out of state, I just felt so unfamiliar to the area and just trying to find basically the best food, where to go for like medical, like for doctor, dentist, and all of that. You just have to kind of familiarize yourself. If you're somebody that doesn't really care about where you go for doctors or dentists, there shouldn't be much of a hassle. For me specifically, I like finding the best care I can find. And for restaurants as well, like I mentioned, I want to find the best food that there is around me. The good thing about that is that you get to try a lot of food. That way you can kind of find the thing that works for you. So that is the first con, unfamiliarity of the area. And I'm sorry if I keep looking down. I wrote some notes of things that I want to talk about, that way I don't go too much off track and make this video super long for you guys. And then another con is, especially if you're moving from one state where you're not gonna know any people, it's just building a new social circle. For somebody like me, I'm somebody that's shy and I don't really go to a lot of social events. This will be a con for you specifically. So I try to kind of connect more with people, that way I can build a new social circle, because obviously I moved to a state where I didn't know anybody here, and just being able to go to events, do networking and things like that, you can find your new social circle. So that is another con for me about moving out of state. And another con that you can either be facing or not is higher cost of living. Let's say you move from one state to another and then the cost of living is actually more. For me specifically, thankfully, the cost of living is actually less. But just go ahead and keep that in mind, that the cost of living could change, especially if you're moving from one state to the other. And then another con is just job hunting challenges. You could have some challenges finding a job, especially if you move from one state without having a job lined up. Like for me, for example, I didn't have a job when I moved here to Texas. I just moved with no job or anything. I just had a little bit of my savings and all of that. That way, in case I couldn't find a job for a longer period of time, I didn't feel too like rushed or anything to find a job. But just keep that in mind, that if you move from one state to another, you're gonna have to find the type of jobs that you're interested in, apply, go through the interview process and all of that. And I found that nowadays, I feel like finding a job is a little bit harder. Like I remember before, I used to apply to jobs and I used to get calls like right away. Now they're doing more, there's like more candidates applying, so now it's definitely harder. So just keep that in mind, that you could have a period of time where you're either not working, or if you're lucky, you find a job right away. But just keep that in mind, that could definitely be a big con about moving out of state, just trying to find and have like challenges while looking for jobs, or not finding the type of pay that you're looking for. That was my biggest con for me. Since I moved to a state where the expenses are less, I was trying to find a job that either paid me the same as my last state where I used to live, or a little bit more, or like actually the same amount. But it was super hard to find jobs. I just kept interviewing and just kind of letting them know what my salary expectations were, just because I didn't want to work for less, obviously. And another thing is the difficulties you might have with the laws and regulations. Here, the law is definitely different. Like for example, gun control. I feel like you could walk anywhere and you see somebody with a gun. For example, I don't really like that, but just keep that in mind, that if you move from one state to another, there could be laws and regulations that are completely different from the state you previously moved on. And another thing here, I feel like it's a quieter area. So I don't know if I should say it a con or anything, but when driving, I feel like there's more craziness just because people don't honk or things like that. There's just like some unfamiliarity with driving, especially if you're moving from one state, like Boston, like driving is completely reckless over there. Moving to another state, there could be some differences while driving. And then another thing that is definitely a big con is just being away from family and friends, not being able to kind of connect as often as you do with your family if you are living on a state that's super far. Like for example, for us, it will be like a 26-hour drive. So I'm definitely not doing that, or like a 4-hour flight. So just being far away from your family, not being able to connect with them on every like holiday or any celebrations like birthdays and stuff like that. Not being able to have that connection It's just going to be a little bit different. And then there could also be some potential impacts on your hobbies or activities. Like for example, if you do volleyball at your other state and then you come to another state where you don't know any like groups or anything like that have the type of hobbies you like, you're going to have some trouble just kind of connecting and finding the hobbies that you're interested in. Like let's say that you go to a gym or you're familiar with a gym at your previous state, then you have to come here and get accustomed to a whole new gym, find new facilities and all of that. But if you're somebody that doesn't mind like just a new experience, trying new stuff, that is probably not going to be a con for you. For me, it was. I'm somebody, like I mentioned, I'm super shy. So just finding new places that I feel comfortable in kind of takes time for me. And then another con for me is not finding the type of food that I like. Like let's say you move to a state where the culture is a little bit different. I am from Dominican Republic. I'm pretty sure most of you guys know that. For me, I could barely find any Dominican food or just Dominican people around me. So if you move from one state to another, there could be some changes in culture, and that could be a con. For me, I think that is a con just because I'm not able to find like the type of Dominican food that I'm looking for, like mofongo, arroz y habichuela with like that Dominican seasoning. Like I know they do have Puerto Rican restaurant, but there are some slight differences that just makes them taste different basically. It's not like bad, the Puerto Rican food, but I just wish there were some Dominican restaurants. And for example, me, I'm somebody that has curly hair. I had a lot of difficult time finding a Dominican hair salon. I was able to find one that's 20 minutes away, but that's probably the only one that I'm able to find. Like there's not like that access as I used to have back in my other state. Like there was Dominican hair salons everywhere. Here I definitely have some difficulties finding that. So I basically try to do my hair as often as I can by myself, which is like a big con for me. Like I had to get accustomed to doing my own hair and all of that just because I don't see a lot of people with the type of like hair that I have and all of that. So I did have some difficulties there. And obviously not everything is going to be a con about moving out of state. I just wanted to make a video specifically about the biggest cons I have faced about moving out of state. I have previous videos where I definitely tell you all the good stuff, all the pros and all of that about moving out of state, but I wanted to make a video that kind of just goes over the cons. That way you guys are kind of aware of things that you can face and struggle with when moving from one state to another. And that's pretty much everything for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and comment below. Let me know if there's any cons that you have experienced about moving from one state to another. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.